Automatic bike gears. I mean, they're from the future, right? No, because automatic bike gears are actually a thing right now. And I'm not talking electronic this, wireless shifting that with its sky-high prices. I'm talking about this, the Land Rider Auto Shift from best part of 20 years ago with its automatic rear shifting derailleur. So in this video, I'm going to tell you how the system works and explain some of the story behind it. First up, a little bit of background as to why I'm even here talking about this bike. Well, this wonderful example is what Hank purchased for our cheap bike commuter challenge over on GCN, say a month or so ago. But completely unbeknown to Hank, this bike had an incredible rear derailleur on it, one which I haven't seen on a bike since I was a kid and was amazed by. We've got no cables, no shifter, no batteries, no stress, and no input from the rider. I mean, even by modern standards, that seems too good to be true, but it's not. The Land Rider Auto Shift first came to market in the US back in the mid to early 2000s. Its target market, the fitness and leisure industry. TV adverts showed couples and families enjoying the upright position and likens the auto shift gears to that of an automatic car. The price for a bike with this kind of technology? 4 payments of $99.95. The system works via a small rubber belt which is driven by a pulley connected onto the rear wheel, and then the belt turns a small pulley connected to the rear derailleur. This pulley turns a shaft which moves through the derailleur and is connected to a split weight system. The faster the wheel rotates, the faster it rotates the two weights, and then centrifugal force causes those weights to pull apart, in turn pushing the body of the rear derailleur to shift into a harder gear. I mean, it sounds pretty simple, but it's not without its drawbacks. This little rubber belt could be easily damaged or broken. The system isn't indexed, which means you've perhaps not got the slickest of gear shifts, and at certain speeds you're left with the rear derailleur sat in between two different cogs and leaving you with clicking gears unless you either speed up or slow down. And then there's also the issue of if you have a major change of speed whilst not pedaling, because in this case, when you do then start to pedal, the derailleur is going to try and change all the way from the easiest to the hardest gear, or vice versa, in one go as soon as you start pedaling again, which, should we say, is perhaps not the optimal way to change gear. If you look closely at the derailleur, it's easy to see how the system works, and also why there's a big guard to protect those spinning weights. While the gear changes are nothing like that of a modern electronic system, they're more than adequate for cruising around town or riding along your local cycle path. Similar systems to this were seen in the late 80s and early 90s in the mountain bike scene, and the Land Rider Auto Shift rear derailleur seems to be an evolution of the Autobike Smart Shift 2000, but that system allowed the rider to have some control of the derailleur via a cable and a shifter. Now, this exact bike setup, you've got 2 chainrings up front and 6 speeds at the back. However, because the system isn't indexed, in theory, this derailleur could work with perhaps slightly more modern gears, but don't expect it to work with, say, 11, 12 or 13 speed cassettes and chains. I mean, come on, let's be realistic here. The spring tension acting on the system is adjustable via a small little hex bolt at the back here. You can increase or decrease the tension on the weighted pulleys. This changes the speed at which the rotation of the wheel causes the rear derailleur to shift. I mean, it's probably not a feature utilised by the type of person who would have ridden this bike, but it's pretty cool nonetheless, and if adjusted incorrectly, well, it'll leave you stuck in your easiest gear. While the bike was certainly not targeted at adventure or ultra distance riders, it didn't stop some people, and it appeared that 2 riders rode Land Riders around the world, perhaps the true test of reliability. Although the Land Rider's 6-month warranty would have been well and truly over by the end of their trip.
A bicycle around the world and cover 23,000 miles, that's not an average bike. I mean, what else can we say? 23,000 miles, 4 years, 57 countries. Land Rider all the way. And then finally, in terms of overall weight, this rear derailleur weighs around 600 grams, which by modern standards is pretty heavy. I mean, a modern 105 Di2 rear derailleur is about half of that weight. However,
This rear derailleur doesn't need cables, it doesn't need a shifter and any other components attached to the bike in order to facilitate the rider changing gear. So when you look at it in that way, the 600 gram rear derailleur actually isn't that bad, but let's face it, it wasn't exactly designed with lightweight in mind. You can just take a look at it and the price point it was at and the materials it's constructed from. Protecting the rear derailleur from damage and stopping anything get caught in this rotating weight system is this large protective cage, which is something we don't tend to see on more modern bikes. Now, in my opinion, it's great to see technology like this, find out how it works and hear some of the story behind it. And if stuff like this sounds like it's right up your street, well, subscribe to GCN Tech, because that is what this channel is all about. Anyway, hope you found this video interesting and informative. If you have, please let me know in the comments section down below. And perhaps if you've used the auto shift derailleur yourself, also let me know. Right, I'm out of here. See you later.